These are things that happen, and they happen all the time. And I don't think the goal is to rid ourselves of these biases and conflicts of interest. And in some cases, absolutely. I mean, I think that there are some very firm lines where you don't want to create specific conflicts of interest. But I think in most cases, it's not being done deliberately. It's being, I think it's done because it is a human nature thing. We do want to feel part of this group. We do want to support them. We have these strong emotions and connections, and subconsciously we're allowing that need or desire to impact our objectivity. As analysts, that's always going to be the case. Like, we are not going to rid ourselves of biases and these challenges, but we have to be comfortable calling it out, saying, I know this is a risk, and because of that, I'm going to put A, B, and C in place in order to prevent it from, impacting my ability to do my job in an objective way. And I think that there are a few, and I think you kind of called them out, like the critical things that we need to be aware of is that when we're in a situation, our biases and potential risk to that objectivity, which creates this conflict of interest, typically come in two or three different forms. A big one, obviously, is financial. So if my livelihood or my ability to move up the corporate ladder or get bonuses is tied to the data that I collect or present, that's instantly an area where we're going to have a conflict. And again, the goal isn't necessarily to completely remove that conflict, because we're never going to remove every conflict and every potential risk to objectivity. The goal too is identify where there are risks and put in remediation plans and plans to make sure that even with those risks, we're going to move forward in a way that we can maintain as much as our objectivity as possible. And if we don't, again, financial is a huge motivator. And we see it all the time, right? Of people making unethical decisions with data and fudging numbers in order to get financial gains. This affects every aspect of data, and data is everywhere. And whether you're an analyst or not, there are these conflicts of interest. And again, I think the key topic of this conversation is not trying to do away with those conflicts, but admitting that they exist and coming up with a plan to make sure you're not allowing those things that are just human nature to cause you to cross over ethical lines, to cross over legal lines, because you can do it. It's a very slippery slope. You think, we're just fudging this, we're just fudging that. And before you know it, you're trying to admit why making an unethical decision wasn't that bad. Or, well, I know that was illegal, but here's what I was thinking. It happens all the time.
It's small. It's small. No one's going to notice. It's fine.
So I think it's just important to be cognizant of the fact that there are these motivators that cause us to lose objectivity and push us toward that conflict of interest. Money is a huge one. So whether that's career advancement or bonus or raises, remaining employed, as you mentioned, we just have to call it out and say, this is a risk. How are we going to address it? And then emotional appeal that you mentioned, like, these are my friends. I want to remain friends with them. I want to be, involved in the group. I want to be trusted. I want to be one of them. So, maybe I'll just look the other way on those numbers that were bad. Or maybe I'll just slightly change a calculation so it looks a little better than it is. It's really easy to do, and it happens when that appeal to emotion is there and is kind of pressing on you. So I think addressing those two things is just super, super critical.